I think it's about the cumulative impacts that we've seen all over California, at least I have, and in the places I've lived, that are bringing people out here with their concern and their anger. Whether the projects are large wineries representing multiple party events, resorts, or tribal reservations with wineries, the oversized proposals we're seeing are seldom denied or reduced by the Board of Supervisors. And it doesn't seem to matter where the location. It could be dozens of new wineries in Dry Creek, or in this case, a reservation on the edge of a small town. Of course the Lytton tribe wants to have their rancheria. We don't oppose that, but it's the size. The cumulative effect, again, of these impacts on our shrinking resources and on our resident population needs to be your primary concern. We're asking for some of you here to stand up for us, your voting electorate. So HSS requests a discussion on the negative impacts to neighboring farms and ranch lands. If this project proceeds, despite the clear cumulative impacts, we suggest a large buffer zone separating the conflicting new urban and longtime rural uses. So please consider our concerns. I'm feeling kind of helpless here to guide our future. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this gentleman here.
Congressman Huffman, May 5th, Eric and I met with you in Novato and raised the point that there was significant opposition in Windsor. I've been a resident of Windsor since 1978. Over 3 months ago, I funded a telephone poll with 56% of the voters in town opposing the Lytton development and its connection to Windsor's water and sewer. The opposition grew to an overwhelming 70% when voters were aware of the removal of open space, loss of trees, traffic, and the land not being governed by laws of California. They don't want to lose the rural character of the area. In 1999, the town held an election specifically to set an urban growth boundary to prevent development in this area. This is the town's backyard. So voters understandably opposed the Lytton using this land to build large numbers of housing units. The land is zoned for a maximum of 1 unit for every 5 acres. Voters don't want 147 units on 124 acres. The voters also don't want the destruction of 1,500 mature oaks. Over the years, this project has grown on steroids. It went from 50 acres to 92 acres to 124 acres, and now it's 511 acres. And the county MOA contemplates that the project will grow in years to 1,300 acres. At most, 2/3 of the housing is for the tribe, so there's a factor of extra tribal housing being constructed. The Lytton also want to build a 200-room luxury resort, completely inconsistent with the county general plan and local zoning. They also want to develop a mega winery producing 200,000 cases of wine a year. The result of all this would be new roads, more traffic, fewer trees, less water. Further, the county won't take care of the sewer waste, so the town is left to deal with it. The Lytton seek exemption from the laws that govern everyone else for themselves. Up until a couple of weeks ago, local politicians kept saying there's nothing we can do. The BIA grants all the applications taken into land into trust. Then we discovered that's not true. We learned that the 2009 Supreme Court decision prevents the BIA from taking the land into trust. And in the last couple of weeks, this county has issued a fact sheet that admits that the BIA can't take land into trust. We also learned that politicians use this inevitable line as an excuse to extract money from tribes. Congressman Huffman took the extraordinary step of introducing legislation in Congress that would give the BIA authority it does not have. This legislation does not protect the town, but to the contrary, the legislation creates problems. The town is protected without legislation. We have also learned that the legislation is based on erroneous and manufactured history. For instance, the Lytton were given all 50 acres of the Rancheria Healdsburg land in Healdsburg in 1958, free of liens. They then sold it all for thousands of dollars in profit. Now they send out mailers saying the land was taken away from them. That simply is not true. Given that the impacts of this bill fall on the town, not the least of which is the water and sewage situation, the town council needs to oppose this legislation. In today's paper, Deb Fudge is quoted as saying the town council can't stop the project. Yes, but the council can represent its voters and pass a resolution opposing this, and it could put an advisory vote on the ballot. Finally, we ask Congressman Huffman to reconsider his legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. How about let's go to this gentleman here, please, and then we'll come back through the...
My name is Gregory Bickham. My wife and I have been in Windsor with a combined total of about 75 years. We've seen it when it was farmland. We have watched it grow. I came here because a friend put something in my hand and said, "You need to know about this." I said, "Okay," and I read it. But I didn't believe everything I read, so I needed to know more. I was driving home from work.
Perfect.
And I saw a bunch of people outside the church here. And I stopped and said, "What's up?" And they said, "Well, this is going on." And you know what? I wanted to know more. Because being naive, I'm thinking that it's going to come to a vote. Okay, what do I know? Okay, so I walk in. My main concern about this, I'm still green, my main concern about this was a casino. Big time. Want to do yourself a favor? Change the 22 to never ever. Never ever. Never ever. Okay? So, then I will believe it. 22 years from now, you young lady, you won't care. My kids, I've got kids. I've got 4. They're out the house. Been out the house for 15 years almost, still green. But you know what? I still pay county taxes on things that kids need. And I keep going, why do I have to do this? I don't have kids at the JC. I don't have kids in elementary school. Why am I doing that? And I'm saying to myself, because that's who I am. That's the citizen that I want to be. And I have no choice, like the lady said. So what I'm trying to get at is the one thing, water, it'll rain. Trees, they'll grow. Okay, taxes. I will give you the trust on 127 houses. I'll give you that. It's going to happen. That's what they keep telling me. I'll give you that. But after that, any land you buy, anything you purchase, I want taxes. I want money. I want to see my taxes in here go down. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, gentleman in the middle.
Hello, my name's Matthew Colmore. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here. I've had the opportunity to address the council before. My wife and I are refugees from Rohnert Park. I've spoke to these kind people before about the brilliant plan of Jensen's School and more schools that then we retire way too early. As we started seeing the decline of Rohnert Park, we started to prepare our move. Once we became aware of the Grayton facility going in, we hastened our footsteps away from that town. I only ask you all, why do we want to turn this beautiful town into another rodent park? Why do you want to let these Indians come in here and put a facility in that is against all that's holy in any way, shape, or form? I think everybody's addressed that well enough tonight. So I'm just saying, please don't let this turn into another rodent park. Thank you.
Thank you. This woman right here.
Yeah. Hello, my name is Sally Pooler. I'm a resident of Windsor, more short-term than many of you, just for 6 years. I want to thank all of you on stage, on both stages, and the people in the audience for being present tonight to learn about and discuss this just terribly important issue. Do you understand that when local municipal agencies and political campaigns accept millions of dollars, and when the Board of Supervisors and Windsor Town Council negotiate behind closed doors with a sovereign nation, it creates the appearance that government is being corrupted by money? I've heard in a meeting that I attended with you, Supervisor Gore, and I've heard from our town council that closed-door negotiations were necessary due to pending litigation. Now, that rationale made no sense to me for a number of reasons, which I won't go into now. But then I recently learned that the board and the town of Windsor deliberately decided to keep the people of Windsor and all of Sonoma County in the dark about the memorandum of agreement and other subsidiary negotiations deliberately, because they wanted to slip the legislation by the citizens without us noticing. I know this to be a fact, although I can't state my source. Since 2011, there has been no outreach to the citizens of Windsor, who this development most strongly impacts. And there has been no opportunity for public comment with the people who are drafting the different levels of legislation. A late night announcement about the MOA being signed the next morning may meet the letter of the law, but it may meet the letter of the law concerning the public hearings, but it is an indecent attempt to deceive. Rampant and deceptive gift-giving to the tune of millions of dollars have occurred at every stage of this proposed development. HR 2538 and the MOA are dirty deals and bad for Windsor. Therefore, it needs to stop now. Congressman, you must withdraw this ill-conceived legislation and start again. This time with citizen and neighbor input. As Linda put forth, I hadn't heard that full proposal. It's a beautiful proposal. And I just imagine where we'd be today if the citizens had been involved in negotiations along the way. One more sentence. I personally welcome the Lytton as neighbors, but I want them to abide by the same land use regulations that the rest of us live by. I would oppose this if it were any developer. It is not right for Windsor. Please remove this legislation and start over. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You will be next, but let me get a couple questions, because the MOA came up in that conversation. There's a couple of specific MOA ones, and I think, Bruce, you might be able to help, and Larry potentially on these ones. So let me flash them by you.
Well, let me just address, there were two issues. That one was raised about what happens with that 800 acres in terms of uses and things. Those 800 acres have to comply with the general plan. They have to comply with the general plan and zoning. So that if there was going to be a change of use or something like that, we'd still have to go through the county and work on that in terms of negotiations. And in terms of taxes, as we mentioned before, the MOA requires the tribe to pay in lieu property taxes, so the taxes are covered for those, and it includes the housing. We're paying taxes on that property also.
But Bruce, I think these are probably for you. They're MOA specific, but first one, does the MOA extend to all currently and future purchased land with respect to gaming?
The MOA applies to both the original 500 acres and then, as Mr. Stidham said, that if the tribe obtains an additional 800 acres, it has to comply with the general plan. So the memorandum of agreement applies to no gaming for the 22 years in all of Sonoma County, whether the 500 acres, the 800 acres, the land in Alexander Valley. The tribe was willing to expand their agreement away from this property to include all land in Sonoma County. As I said before, number one policy of the Board of Supervisors has been no gaming, and so that was a priority in terms of negotiating the agreement.
Okay, and this one, I hope I get this right, but it says MOA fact sheet, page 2, item 3. Further, nothing in, this is a quote from the fact sheet, I believe. Further, nothing in current law prevents a tribe from changing the use identified in its trust application once the land goes into trust. What does this mean?
That means when land goes into trust, there is a process that you've heard a lot about tonight about taking land into trust. But once land goes into trust, there's no local authority, there's no federal authority that prevents that from a change of use. Now, there may be some exceptions with respect to changes for casino use or gaming, but it's not unusual for land to go into trust and the stated use is, future government purposes. And then the tribe can, build a school on it, can put a commercial development on it, could do ag on it. But the point is that there's no way to control what is done once the land goes into trust. This agreement provides, generally speaking, for a compliance with the general plan. And in the few instances where there's not compliance with the general plan, it requires a full-fledged environmental process that includes public input, and the tribe has agreed to negotiate to ensure that mitigation of off-reservation uses of impacts are accomplished, and if they're not able to agree, then it goes to binding arbitration.
Okay. Let's go here, lady in the
Real quickly, I would just like to the last comment that came up, and with all due respect, there's two parts to this. There's one is the outreach about the MOA with the county. We own that was done. Could have been done in any way would have been better than it would have been done. Now, at the same time, it's patently false to think that myself or this man sitting next to me deliberately obfuscated any process whatsoever. The basic reality is, even if we were smart enough to do that, we're far too busy to have those kind of conversations and do it. And I just want that to be clear. You can disagree, absolutely, but that's fine. But in terms of intention, I just want to make that clear.
Hi. Good evening. Oh, goodness.
That's it. That's perfect. That's perfect.
My name is Paulette Modikis. I live at 1025 Hampshire Lane in Deer Creek. And I'd like to thank the Town of Windsor for finally agendizing this issue to allow our voices to be heard. My question is regarding the map identified as Exhibit C-1 of the MOA, dated March 3rd, 2015. This map shows a boundary around a section of land that is approximately 1/3 the size of Windsor proper and is identified as the Lytton Sphere boundary. It is approximately 1,300 acres and includes properties the Lyttons have already purchased, approximately 514 acres, but also includes almost 800 acres of land owned by private residents. I know many of the people who now own these properties who have been approached many times by the tribe to sell, but they are not interested in selling. You see, these lands are their homelands, and in some cases, land that has been passed down through generations, land that they love and are making their livings from. But now I see that the Lyttons have drawn a border around these same lands, claiming it as land they intend to own and develop. How is it that the Lyttons can actually work on developing land, getting it served to them on a silver platter by the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors, and then further facilitated by Congressman Huffman's bill to try an end run to move this land into a federal trust? This is not only their land to develop. This does not strike me as a group who is attempting to be a good neighbor. It looks like a bully move to me, and with great hubris. The citizens of Windsor had to fight very hard to get our freedom from the whims of the county back in 1992. I know, I fought that battle too. We wanted to have a say in what happens in our town and how to manage growth and development. This development, if allowed to go forward, would destroy everything we have all fought so hard to get. Why are the desires of what amounts to 1% of the total population of Windsor more important than the needs of the 99% who are already here and have worked so hard to build? So with that in mind, I am asking Congressman Huffman to pull H.R. 2538 and the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors to stop making backroom deals without public notice and input. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, in the center.
Hello, my name is Whitney Hopkins, and I guess most of you here have already heard from me. I've met with many of you. Thank you, and thank you all for being here tonight. Just a quick note, I will say I am a neighbor who is next door to a potential 200-room hotel, restaurants, shops, entertainment center, spa, winery. You've heard all about it. On agricultural land. It's zoned for agricultural land. It's in Williamson Act. And so unfortunately, the way that the MOA and Congressman Huffman's bill was created involved no community input, not a single meeting with the neighbors prior. And so that's the reason why I can't support the current MOA and legislation. I think, as Linda said, and hopefully some of you read my letter to the editor in the Windsor Tribune last week, there might be the potential that I could support something, but without any sign of an effort so far, well, at least leading up to the signature of the agreements, I haven't been able to support them. But I like to continue to have hope. I admit I haven't had a lot of faith in my elected officials lately. I do have a question here that actually was intended for Chairwoman Mejia. I think she needed to leave, but I'll just, it's sort of a statement question, so I'll make it. And here it is. On November 10th, 2011, Chairwoman Mejia testified before the United States Senate Committee on Indian Affairs. In her testimony, she noted that the 1991 federal court settlement that restored the Lytton's tribal status had a provision that, in quotes, forbids the tribe from acquiring and using any land within the county for any purposes not included in the Sonoma County General Use Plan. This is congressional testimony. This argument was used as the justification for the Lytton's partnership with the city of San Pablo and the placing of land into trust there for the Lytton to establish a highly profitable casino, which you've already heard about. And it has now enabled them to purchase a large amount of land here. So my question is, the chairwoman expressly said the tribe was forbidden from using any land within the county, not just Alexander Valley, as we've heard mentioned, but any land for any purposes not included in the Sonoma County General Use Plan. How is it now that 4 years later, this development, Lytton Development Plan, seems to disregard this provision that she said she needed to follow? Whether she needs to or not, I do hope that she will follow the Sonoma County General Plan as an expression of goodwill to her neighbors and the community. There are opportunities for economic development while following the general plan, as Linda pointed out, and I believe that the tribe would garner much more community support if you followed the Sonoma County General Plan, which applies to your neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this gentleman down here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Colby Balfour. I currently attend the Windsor Middle School in the 8th grade, but I am excited to be attending the Windsor High School in 9th grade next year. I am a little bit Cherokee, just a little bit, and before I moved here, I've only been living in Windsor for about a year now. A very fun activity for me was to swim. It was something that I could do by myself. It was something I could do with my friends. It was just something I could do for fun. But ever since I've moved here, I have not been able to swim quite as much. And that is largely due to the fact that it's just hard to swim in Windsor. And currently, the swim team at Windsor High School has to drive all the way up to Healdsburg in order to be able to swim. And that stresses them out, that makes people less motivated to want to swim in the first place. It's just not a good situation. If there were to be an aquatic center placed near the Windsor High School, not only would it benefit the community around the high school, but it would benefit the Windsor High School swim team. It would benefit the Windsor High School physical education program, and it would just be overall good for the entire community. It would just be a shame to have to lose such a great opportunity for an aquatic center where myself and my friends wouldn't be able to have the great experience of being able to swim for school in PE or maybe in the swim team. But it would be even worse if it was just something that the Lytton tribe, they're trying to be very good neighbors towards us. They've expressed that they could be good neighbors towards others. And it would only take for us to be good neighbors back towards them. Thank you.
You did that without notes. That was impressive. Okay, all right. This gentleman here.
I'm Frank Nickerson. I am a resident of Deer Creek West, as I like to call it. First of all, I would like to say I wouldn't be here if my great-great-great-grandmother hadn't survived the Trail of Tears. I really take exception to somebody saying that I'm bigoted. One thing I've learned from my grandma was don't believe everything that people tell you is a fact. Money, 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 what is a done deal? I've heard this here in Windsor and Sonoma County for the 6 years that we have been here. I think it has come to mean money buys what people oppose. You know, like the Bell Village, the airport expansion, raising your tiered water rates. I would say any number involved with anything discussed here should be taken with a grain of salt. Nothing has been kept the same from the beginning. As they tell the Native Americans, as they used to tell the Native Americans, that it will be that way as long as the wind blows and the rivers flow. That's longer than 22 years. We all know how that all worked out for the Indians. Now, and it won't, well, a long time ago, I was involved with another done deal in Bakersfield with PG&E. They had bought a bunch of land and were going to build a nuclear plant out in Buttonwillow, California. It was already done. Everybody had voted for it until the people got involved, and then they had to turn around and sell all the land back at a loss. They never did build it, and they tried to do the same thing out here at the Bodega Head. I'd like to say no good can come from the money that is taken from the suffering of others. This is all gambling money from the Bay Area. Hundreds of people, hundreds of thousands of people go to these casinos because they have no better sense to do with their money. I welcome anyone here who wants to live in Windsor and move to Windsor and buy a house. I don't want a kingdom in my backyard. My home is in the impact zone. Our quarter-acre property backs up the Windsor River and Star Road. Over the past 6 years, we have lived here with the amount of traffic that has remained about the same, although it seems like mufflers and Harleys are getting louder. With 300 plus homes, hotels/spa, and a winery being built, I expect the traffic passing through the intersection at Windsor Road and Star will easily triple, if not a lot more. This is a four-way stop that already has its share of accidents. My property value may not decrease, but I'm sure it will not gain as much value with a huge amount of traffic going by. The wholesale wasting of virgin blue oak forest is an abomination beyond belief. How can you take a pristine watershed and build streets and houses on it these days of strict EPA rules on watersheds and rivers? I can't imagine when landowners are being told by the EPA they cannot build livestock ponds on their own property they have owned for generations.
About wrapping up?
Yeah, one paragraph. I'd like with a show of hands of the government representatives here who have accepted or plan to take money from the Lytton tribe. Anybody? Anybody want to be honest?
Yeah, I'd like to be very specifically honest. One of the largest donors to my campaign is in this room. He was the guy that had to pee earlier that's opposed to this agreement. So if you want to insult us and suggest that we are not
Hey,
looking at this
hey,
on
I'm
the
the
merits,
voter.
you need to do your
I
homework.
don't think the people in the tribe are going to be voting for you.
All right. Let's just wrap it up. Got a number of
I,
people
for one,
still
will
waiting.
not take or vote for anyone who's taken money from the Lytton tribe or fails to stand against this land grab.
Okay, gentleman in the middle.
Hello, hi. My name's Eric Wee. I'm a citizen here of Windsor, and I wanted to thank the town council, Representative Huffman, Mr. Gore, sorry, and and the rest of the people on the panel. I think, first of all, I just want to clarify something that's going on here for everyone in the audience. We're hearing that it's inevitable. It's inevitable. It's going to happen. So we might as well cut the best deal possible. And I think that everything's being turned on its head right now. This is not inevitable. 2009, the Supreme Court passed a decision, the Carcieri decision, which blocked this tribe, the Lytton tribe, from taking this land into trust. That's a fact. They're trying to make it sound like this is the most natural thing in the world, that this thing will go into trust. It's the most extreme, outrageous plan that I've ever heard of. It's very, very unusual. It's actually unheard of for a tribe to have one reservation and to put another reservation into trust in its separate county. That just doesn't happen. It's unprecedented. So what they're trying to paint to you as something as natural is not. It's completely unnatural and will not happen if the town of Windsor opposes this. I'm also here to present a petition, which we, the citizens of Windsor, circulated, asking for, we, the undersigned, are concerned citizens, constituents of Representative Jared Huffman, who asked Representative Huffman to withdraw the legislation he submitted that would move the Lytton Band of Pomo Indians land and near Windsor into federal trust. We ask that the town council immediately pass a resolution stating that they are against the Lytton Band of Pomo Indians land into federal trust. We ask the Bureau of Indian Affairs to reject the Lytton Band's request to move their lands into outside of Windsor into federal trust. And so here I have 1,300 Sonoma County residents who signed this. 1,022 are Windsor residents, and I'd like to submit that to Congressman Huffman and to the board. I think what you're hearing here is outrage, too, and I just want to speak to that for a moment. People are outraged, Mr. Gore, that the county negotiated for 2 years in closed room sessions and then put it on an agenda, and the next day, on page 200, and after that voted the next day. Congressman Huffman, they're outraged that you have not been here to consult us before this. Why would you do that? Why would you not be here before this? And we're outraged, town council members, that you've had 15 closed-door sessions over the last 2 years over this, hiding behind the Brown Act. We, the residents of Windsor, deserve better than this. We, the citizens, deserve better than this from you. You are elected officials to carry out our will, not to impose your will on us. So we ask you, please, to reconsider and to reject H.R. 2538. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. Okay. Yeah. I'll sit right here. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, my name is Betsy Malice. I live here in Windsor. I have for the last 8 years, and I'm just going to make this very brief. Two things. One is I've listened to everybody here today, and I think we're all fairly good in agreement with no casino. But there's nothing that I've heard today that tells us that all of the land that they own right now today will not have a casino on it. I don't feel like I have a guarantee that I could take to the bank.
You want more assurance on that.
I feel like I have we all know it shouldn't, and we're all working towards it, but I don't feel like I have a hard guarantee on that.